Imagine having a wolf with a goddamn sword.
Well, stop imagining it, because that's not what we're going to do today. I just thought it was neat and wanted to show you that that was a thing when you get to level 11 on a Beastmaster.
Hello, my fellow adventurers, one and all. Today, I'm bringing you something that is honestly so exciting, and I cannot believe that A, that it just works, and B, that it works as well as it does. One of my favourite guilty pleasure classes in both D&D and now Baldurs Gate is Beastmaster. And Beastmaster gets kind of a bad rep when up against something like Gloomstalker, and it's easy to see why, because in a lot of respects it's just kind of weaker. I mean, on pure style points, one cannot surpass being able to summon this badass animal companion with actual full-on bird armor. You know, that is just brilliant. But when it comes to raw power, things tend to lean to other subclasses. But I want to fix that with a little multi-class build. It's 11 and 1, so technically still multi-class, that not only makes, I would argue, the Beastmaster the best ranger subclass, but in terms of sheer battlefield dominance, this is in line for perhaps the best build in the game, because it's like a cheat code. It is oppressive, it is silly, and it is magnificent. So, in Baldur's Gate, one of the best situations you can be in is this: in a cloud of darkness. Because in a cloud of darkness, if you are immune to being blinded by it, well, every melee enemy that comes into it with you has disadvantage on all of their attacks against you. You, from within your obscured spot, have advantaged attacks shooting out of the darkness. Ranged enemies don't know what to do and just kind of flounder around wasting their turn looking at you because they can't shoot you in it. And essentially, you just become master of this little circle domain. Nearly impossible to hit while you mercilessly pick off everyone as they flail around unable to see anything. It's brilliant. But the thing is, to achieve this normally, you need to have the darkness spell. It's a level 2 spell, so it means committing the levels to get that on a class that can. It means obviously casting it, so now you've got this one specific area. It's concentration, so you can't concentrate on something else more potent, like haste is an easy example. And if you need to move it, well, you can't outside of, casting it again, burning another slot. It requires the spell slot. It means you can't do it many times a day because you'll just run out of slots, and it's restrictive, right? As it should be, because the power of being in darkness while not blind is huge. But there has to be a better way, right? So what if you could create a permanent world of permanent darkness that is infinite, spreading out across the entire battlefield, never ending, doesn't need any spell slots, doesn't need you to concentrate, is happening completely for free, while you cause absolute havoc from within it with monstrous blasts of damage, as everyone who is currently fighting you deeply regrets their choices, amidst being blasted to ash by lightning, fire, radiant, and obscene amounts of piercing damage as you attack a bajillion times a turn in glorious AoE. This is bloody brilliant, and I cannot wait to share with you exactly how it's done. It lets you use a really fun animal companion, it lets you do some beautiful things with a bow, and it lets you employ a few little tricks and spells and synergies that just kinda don't get used, because in most situations, I admit, they're not that great. But in this perfect situation we have set up, it's a lot more than great. Level 1 through 12 is where we shall, as always, start, what we're getting and when, and then we'll talk how this actually does work, what is happening and why, along with gear, tips and tricks, and all you could ever want to know about this glorious Dark Raven style. Beginning with Ranger, then, as that is our core here. For your favourite enemy, you want to take, well, whatever you like the look of. None of these are required for the build. Yes, you can get your Ranger Knight if you want to get heavy armor. We're not using heavy armor, but it is something that you can think about. And for your Explorer, again, none of them are required, so take what you like the look of. I just like being resistant to common damage types, so fire is my choice here. So for your stats, this is what you're looking at. 16 dex as our primary weapon damage dealer. This is self-evident, but wisdom also at 16 as our spell casting stat. Then we want just a little bit of strength, as I like to have some jump range. Constitution up at the 14 for both the health and the saves, and then I have dumped intelligence and charisma, and this works out quite nicely. Let's do our leveling. Up at 2, we start to get our first set of spells and our fighting style. I would recommend you grab the Ensnaring Strike, especially if you do have the advantage for it, and then past that, it's kind of up to you. I like Hail of Thorns, it's fun, especially early on, and this is a build you can go with from level 1, it only just gets better. Bows will be our main source of damage, so archery is our fighting style. Then we head to level 3. So we can choose our subclass, Beastmaster being the one, so we can get our Ranger's Companion, and this is what makes this all work. Ranger's Companion lets you summon a range of beasts to fight by your side, and each one of them has some unique properties. And as you level up your Beastmaster, the beasts get upgraded. Visually, they get cooler and cooler armor, but they also unlock hidden abilities and just generally get stronger. One of those hidden abilities on one of the beasts is the entire engine for this setup. Over in Spellland, once again, just choose what you want. I've probably overdone it with concentration options, but there really isn't a huge variety when it comes to your ranger options, so it really is what you think you can best get use out of. For your first feat, ability improvement, and we take our dex to 18, fairly straightforward. Then we get to level 5, which gives us our extra attack, which is really nice, and it is very important that we do get to this level 5 before we get our subclass, as getting the extra attack from Ranger before the subclass is a key factor, and I'll explain why when we get to it. But now we also get Companion's Bond. This is nice to buff said Companion, and it's the first of many of these little companion buffs that we are going to rely on. We also get our level 2 spells. I like to have Silence, as it absolutely does cripple casters, and we can move on. Over in the land of level 6, we get another enemy and explorer. I just sort of, at this point, grab the Ranger Knight because I might as well. I mean, honestly, none of them are crazy exciting, but I do like to get an extra damage resistance because being alive is always more fun than being not alive. Then at level 7, we get another passive upgrade to our faithful, loyal beast companion. He gains the ability to jump through hoops. Wow, what a good boy. Anyway, this is exceptional training, and now they can dash, disengage, and help as their bonus action, which is actually really good for what we're doing here, as being able to dash as bonus and still use an action is going to work exceptionally well for the infinite blankets of darkness. Then over in your spell land, just kind of grab whatever is looking at you. I like to be able to speak with animals as a ranger. That feels kind of fitting. Then over at level 8, we get ourselves another little passive in the form of land stride, so we don't care about difficult terrain. That's nice, I suppose, but the most exciting thing, of course, is our next and last feat to take dexterity with another ability improvement to that sweet 20. Then we get to level 9, and at this point, just get a little bit of an extra spell and that spell slot, but we also unlock level 3 spells, where we grab Lightning Arrow, which will be one of our biggest sources of pure nuking damage that we can unleash from our darkness clouds. So do grab that and move on. Then we get to level 10, where once again we get another passive in the the form of Favored Enemy and Natural Explorer, and the ability to hide in plain sight, which I guess is nice, but you don't really have much of a reason to use it when you're permanently in darkness anyway. For the enemy, I choose Keeper of the Veil as kind of the least bad of the available options, and then we go with, at least for me, resistance to poison, so again, tanky as possible, but choose what you like the look of. At level 11, and our final Ranger level, we get what it's all about and why we have to invest so much into Beastmaster to make this happen. Bestial Fury. You get an extra attack on your animal companion, but what's more, unlocking their inner strength. That is very vague, but it is that gives them their souped up new abilities and features that are really quite potent, at least on a couple of the animal options. Then, spell-wise, we can grab another one. Plant growth is quite fun, everyone moving really slowly in the darkness is quite neat, and barrage isn't the worst either, but I will get to that. Then we get to our multiclass, and indeed it is definitively better than just taking the final 12th level and getting an extra feat, because what we will be taking is... well, you have an option of 3, actually. The first is grabbing that ever-faithful 1 level of Wizard, just to have access to all the Wizard spells up to level 3, such as Haste. That's quite nice, but because we'll be getting Haste from a different source, ideally, what I would recommend and what I am using is Cleric. Now, in Cleric land, you also have 2 options. First and foremost, for your cantrips, I would give this the selection, but take whatever you like the look of, and then subclass. We either want to go light to get Fairy Fire, but again, it's another concentration option, and we have lots of them already, but Warding Flare is definitely fun. But because we're always in darkness, we don't kind of need that extra defensive help, so what I would suggest, and what I'm doing, is War Domain. This gives us something very, very potent. 3 extra bonus extra attacks every single day. This lets you attack with haste 5 times in a turn, and is obviously really good. But more than that, because we are now dipping into Priest, we get access to bonus action Sanctuary, which is awesome just as a utility. We get a bonus action Heal, which again is awesome for both you and your companion. We get Bless, which if you're not concentrating on anything else is a really solid choice, especially in the earlier game if you do choose to get this at level 6 instead of level 12 like I've done. And then finally, and most importantly, and the reason it beats out the feat, is Create Water to double our thunder and lightning damage. So, we get all of those goodies, and we are good to go. Here we are then, all set up and ready to go. First things first is get your Ranger's Companion. Well, we have 5 options: the bear, the boar, the spider, the raven, and the wolf. As you can see, the raven is the choice. Why is the raven the choice? Well, if we go to our lovely, badass-looking bird here, he has quite a fun few features. He can now summon extra ravens to fight alongside you, he can blind people, he's got a fairly alright little attack that he can attack twice now because we're level 11, and he's got your bad omen. But it is actually just his basic movement that makes this work. Him simply flying. Because you see that 2 turns right there. Darkness. And what this does is wherever he lands, he essentially just casts a 2-turn lasting darkness on that spot. That is absolutely ludicrous, and it's such a subtle little feature of this subclass, of this specific pet, and it's so busted. Because he has got such colossal amounts of movement. If we enter turn-based mode, and then we dash, so we get double, now we fly, and as you can see, there is that circle around the landing. So we head over, and now we've summoned darkness for 2 turns. We then head over, and we summon more darkness. And you just kind of bob around to every single enemy on the battlefield, every single time it comes round to the Raven's turn, and because it lasts 2 turns, you're never at risk of it going away, because you always have chance to reapply it. So you see how in 1 turn, we just cast Darkness about 7 times. Yes, it's a bit of a smaller one, but that doesn't matter when it stacks together to be colossal. And because you and the Raven are immune to being blinded, in this zone you have created, as I said at the beginning, you are God. We head in, and now we are looking very peachy. We get advantage shooting out to everyone we please, and we can just rain death and destruction from this lovely cloud sanctuary. So that is the Darkness engine. Just use your Raven to fly everywhere, constantly putting down more and more and more darkness. It's so, so lovely to behold. So that's how that's going on. We've got what we need to be fighting in and how to keep generating it. So how are we actually killing people? Well, to start with then, let's have a look at equipment. There is only one required bit of gear for this entire build, and it is your method of being immune to blind. You have this easy to get ring, the Eversight ring. The wearer cannot be blinded. And this is from the House of Healing in Act 2 in a chest in the morgue. So hopefully you picked it up. If you don't have the ring though, you can get this instead, Helldusk Helmet. You cannot be blinded. This is from the House of Hope, and it achieves a very similar effect, but it means you can't use your helmet for a different, more useful item, like this Mask of Soul Perception here from upstairs in the shop that is the portal to the House of Hope, for just +2 to your attack rolls, and more importantly, your initiative rolls, so you can set up before enemies start moving. It's a very nice little piece, but not required. So once your immunity to being blinded is achieved, well, we really only care about our weapon, and of course we have chosen gontr mael, the legendary bow. Now you can go the dual crossbows and the feats associated with that route, but I like me just a good old bit of bowing, but most importantly this comes inbuilt with haste, which is ludicrously good. Not only is this haste a free haste, it means that when it runs out, you don't actually get fatigued or lose your turn, so it's quite an extra powerful one. It only lasts 5 turns, but that's more than enough, especially when you're taking double actions. On top of just being a really powerful bow that gives you this lovely bolt of celestial light shot for a little bit of extra bit of potent damage, and it is glowing, so you can do things like work in the extra radiant damage if you want to, but this is from the Steel Watch Foundry, from the final boss in there, and it works lovely. Because we get haste from here, this is why we don't take the level 1 wizard, and instead can take the cleric. And the reason the war cleric is so good is this, the war priest extra attack charge. So this means that we can do our usual couple shots, that's all nice, and then we consume the charge to fire a extra attack for our bonus action. The reason that we want to get War Priest after level 5 is the game will offer you your extra attacks in the order that you got them. So if you take War Priest before getting your Ranger extra attack, then you will use this charge before your second action attack, which is of course really inefficient and a poor use of them. You've only got 3 a day, so you want to make sure when you use one, it really is for a purpose. Past that, on the gear front then, we've just got a couple select items that really help out. So I have actually kept my staff and shield on. The reason being is Magraheshki here gives you this Kareska's Favor, which helps your lightning damage out, because this lightning arrow that is going to be one of our biggest nukes counts as a lightning spell. If we get extra spell attack, our chance to land it goes up. For example, this Robe of the Weave to get an extra spell attack roll, or the Helldusk Gloves that give us an extra fire damage on our attacks, but also +1 to spell attack rolls, and all of this extra spell attack helps with so many of our options as this setup. The same with Ketheric's Shield here. And then for the armor, I have gone for this just to end up with monstrous amounts of AC, so that if anything does somehow manage to hit us through the darkness, darkness, it's still not going to hit us. Enemies have to disadvantaged attack against 25 AC. That is like, you basically have to natural 20. It's so wonderful. And that's essentially everything I've got going on here. So, with your gear sorted, your darkness engine online, we really do just shoot things. Chain attacks with your braced, so you do extra damage. Fire off your bolt of celestial light every short rest. Hit things over and over and over again with your double attacks, with your self-haste and your warp priest charges. Use your lightning arrows with all of your level 3 spell slots on top of wetting enemies to double the damage with them from the priest. And then once your haste is run out, choose your next best concentration option, either Hunter's Mark against a single target, or maybe Bless you and your allies, because of course your allies can fight with this fine. I just wanted to show you it working on Tactician solo against a group of enemies, as I think it's really fun how much it walks over them. Or indeed use your concentration on your silence, so you can shut down enemy casters. There really is a lot of good options going on here, but bottom line, the simple combination of I am in darkness and I'm just shooting repeatedly with really powerful ranger attacks, that works by itself. And then don't forget your bird actually coming in and contributing too. It's all very straightforward, but at the same time, beautifully synergistic. And on top of everything, we have the Spellcrux Amulet, which gives us an extra cast of Lightning Arrow, and we have Arcane Battery from the staff, which gives us an extra cast of Lightning Arrow, on top of, you know, just a Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning real casually. But that's not really part of it, it's just the staff is powerful, so I've resisted using them when showing off the build to you guys. And really that's it. We take potent offensive ranged bow shenanigans along with a bit of watery lightning arrow mixed. We have incredible AC. We have this blanket of permanent darkness thanks to the Raven Companion at level 11 Beastmaster in its most powerful form, and we just play this routine in the clouds that make us nigh unstoppable because enemies simply just cannot hit you while you kill them. It works great solo, it works great in a team, and I think it's very thematic and flavorful and most importantly fun, and perhaps actually even more importantly than that, I would say hopefully unique. This I doubt is actually, you know, the usual meta you're probably bored of seeing by now, and I hope you appreciate this sort of different take on a build setup, and maybe look upon the Beastmaster a little bit more favorably, as a lot of the pets are a little bit not as good as they could be, or at least I would like them to be. For now then, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.